it's Hailey, and today I'm going to be doing another If You Liked This Book, Then You Might Like This Book, but this time I'm going to be focusing on TikTok hyped reads. I know I've been talking about TikTok so much lately, but honestly I've become obsessed. I'm sorry, but if you don't like it, you don't have to watch the videos. It's fine. I am 0% offended, but I thought it would be really fun. Like, I didn't realize how many books I actually had paired up until they're all stacked around my office right now, and it's a wee bit of a mess. But I went to like the most popular, most hyped up TikTok books that I have heard of, I could think of, and I paired them with some books that I think are a little bit lesser known, or at least aren't, to my knowledge, hyped up on TikTok. But I've said this before, my TikTok is very interesting because I don't think like TikTok really knows what to make of me. The algorithm is kind of confused about what kind of person I am. So I don't really get book recommendations off of TikTok. So I haven't really found any books from TikTok. That's because like I just don't get book recommendations. I get like book memes and stuff like that, which is totally fine. I'm fine with that. But I'm gonna get to the books because I have so many to talk about today. I'm super excited. If you guys like this kind of video, definitely let me know because I love doing them. I've done quite a few of these If You've Liked This, Then You Might Like This videos, mostly with books, but then I've also recently, a couple of weeks ago, done it with movies and TV shows, which was a lot of fun. So I just really enjoyed doing these. So if you have any ideas for more, then please let me know down below. But without further ado, let's get into it. I'm gonna start off with this first one because it's kind of the exception to the rule, because I know for a fact that the book that I'm going to recommend is also hyped up on TikTok, but I think it's better than the like more hyped up book, which is why I'm going to recommend it still. So if you enjoyed The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armez, which I can't find my copy anywhere, I'm not exactly sure where it went. I didn't unhaul it, even though I didn't really like it all that much. I just don't know where it went, but I would recommend that you try out The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. So I'm a huge Christina Lauren fan, so I just had to go with this recommendation. I couldn't not. And I feel like it's a valid one because there are a lot of elements of this story that are very similar to The Spanish Love Deception. We have a main character and their sister's getting married. In this case, the wedding has already happened, so it's not a lead up to the wedding, but we also have fake dating and enemies to lovers. Now, it's not really an office thing. We have the groom's brother, and essentially these two characters end up going on the honeymoon that was meant for the groom and like her sister because they end up getting sick. So to take advantage of this honeymoon, they end up going and they have to pretend that they are the newlyweds. And then in the case of The Spanish Love Deception, of course, we have these coworkers who end up fake dating because everyone has been bugging the main character to have like a boyfriend, and she needs a date for her sister's wedding in Spain, so she agrees to fake date this guy who she really doesn't like, who's a coworker of hers. So The Spanish Love Deception was fine. It wasn't like bad. There definitely were some issues that I had with it. It was okay, but I've read other books that are very similar to it that have done it better, and The Unhoneymooners is one of them. So this one was definitely very similar. I enjoyed the enemies to lovers, although I think the hatred was kind of more so in this one. Like in The Spanish Love Deception, they weren't really enemies, but in my memory, I'm pretty sure that they like actually were enemies and was really believable in this one. This one is also set in Hawaii, although like that's not a point against The Spanish Love Deception because the setting of Spain is also amazing, but this one's like set entirely in Hawaii and it just took me away. The Spanish Love Deception is kind of overwritten in my opinion, and I don't know. Personally, maybe it's controversial, but I feel like this one did that sort of like whole trope thing a lot better, just in my opinion. Next up, if you enjoyed The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, then I would recommend checking out Lovely War by Julie Berry. Full disclosure, have not read The Song of Achilles yet. I will, but I haven't read it yet. So I'm just saying this based off of what I know about it. I feel like these are both like love stories that have to do with the gods. Obviously, this one is quite different because it's actually the love story of Achilles, and I mean, this one isn't. This is actually a love story that is set during World War I, and you are following two different couples, but it is narrated by the Greek gods. So all of the Greek gods are just chiming in on this love story, and It's a frame tale with that. It's super cool. Mythology obviously is very prevalent in it, but you also get to see these mortals having their love story as well in such a tragic time period too. So if you guys are familiar with my channel, you know I absolutely adore Lovely War. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I am obsessed with it, and I really try and champion it. So that is why, like, I just felt like I had to make this comparison here. Both of these are love stories. Both of them have to do with mythology. This one definitely more heavily, but I think that if you are interested in love and romance and tragic romance, I'm not sure if this one's tragic, but I feel like it probably is based on what I've seen, that it's like really, really heartbreaking. So if you are looking for kind of that heartbreak, but also that mythology thing and love at the same time, then both of these are like solid choices. Next up, if you enjoyed They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera, you should definitely check out The Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds. I also would recommend Early Departures by Justin A. Reynolds because they are both books by the same author, but they kind of have like a similar-ish topic. Both of them essentially deal with death and grief, but also love. Now, I recommend this one over Early Departures because Early Departures is more so about friendship, while this one deals with romance more so. So obviously They Both Die at the End is like a really heartbreaking love story. You can't, like, you know what's gonna happen, but it still hits you like an absolute ton of bricks, and you still have so much hope. And I think that's definitely something that Opposite of Always also excels with. You have a main character who meets the love of his life, but then she ends up dying, and then he ends up in this like time loop where he keeps on going back and trying to save her. So both of these have kind of a different, interesting, I don't want to say magical element, but kind of a sci-fi element to it, and they both use it really effectively. They both deal with grief and just like life in general and appreciating it, and relationships and how powerful they can be even when you're a teenager. I think that they are both just absolutely amazing stories, and I do really enjoy both of these authors. Like, definitely check out their other books as well. Next up, if you enjoyed The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, then you should check out The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. So I haven't read this book yet. Once again, full disclosure, if I ever don't read a book and I'm talking about it, I will let you know. I'm not gonna act like I've read it, but I've made this comparison before because I feel like it is like perfect. So essentially, I feel like this is Evelyn Hugo, but with an author. And I think that's so cool. So Evelyn Hugo obviously is about this really, really like well-known, beloved movie star, and you have a biographer who's meeting with her for the first time, like learning all about her, and you're getting the story of her life. Similar story here, but with a reclusive author, and I believe she writes mystery stories in particular. Oh, just kidding. She's famous for her collection of 12 enchanting stories and has spent the past 6 decades penning a series of alternate lives for herself. So obviously we have a biographer that is meeting with this author and learning more about her. I just like, I feel like that comparison is perfect, and I definitely really want to read The 13th Tale soon. I've heard so many great things about this book from everyone who has read it. Like, pretty much everyone that I know who has read this book has raved about it. So I feel like that's a similar case with Evelyn Hugo. Evelyn Hugo is just like super, super popular, and I think this one isn't quite as popular, but it seems like one that if you enjoyed this one is definitely worth checking out. Next up, if you enjoyed this selection by Kira Cass, then you should check out Tokyo Ever After by Emiko Jean. Both of these stories deal with royalty, and I've read both of them and really loved both of them. I would be very curious though to see like how I would feel about the selection if I were to reread it now, because my tastes have changed so much as a reader, but my memories of it are so fond because it's one of the first series that I just could not stop reading. I read the entire trilogy in 3 days. Like, I remember on the 3rd day, it was when the 3rd book actually came out, and I went and got it and I just devoured it, and it was so good. I just loved it. And I had a similar experience with Tokyo Ever After. I just couldn't get enough of it. It was so cute and fun and just compulsively readable. I couldn't put it down and was having a blast with it. I loved the royalty element to it. It was just fantastic. So this is kind of like The Princess Diaries, except the main character ends up finding out that her estranged father is the crown prince of Japan. So she finds out that she's a princess in Japan and ends up going to Japan and has her own love story there, is learning more about like her Japanese heritage and life as a royal, as a Japanese royal in particular. It's so much fun, and I feel like that is like what I loved about the selection. Well, it is technically a dystopian story. The romance plot line is really like what excels and what I loved reading about. And that's definitely one of my favorite parts of this book as well. Just so much fun and really, really easy to read. While we're on the topic of romance, actually, if you liked Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, then you should definitely try out Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins. These books are both LGBTQ plus romance stories that deal with royalty. So this one is sapphic and this one is a gay romance, but you know, it's still, they are both fantastic and really just the most adorable stories, honestly. So this one is a YA story while this one is adult, so this does have more mature content in it, but I think this is just absolutely the most adorable romance. This is about an American girl who gets, like, she breaks up with her girlfriend in a really embarrassing way, so she decides to cope with that by going to boarding school and moving to Scotland, which is a really great coping strategy in my opinion. But she ends up rooming with the Crown Princess of Scotland, and the two of them have this enemies to lovers romance that's blooming, and it is so good, like just fantastic. Next up, if you enjoyed Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, you should definitely check out Master of One by Jada Jones and Danny Bennett. Both of these stories deal with Fae at the forefront, and that really is like the main connection for me, is the fact that they deal with Fae, but also that they have a really compelling cast of characters that has like great banter with each other. So I think that this is definitely a different sort of Fae story, but it is so enjoyable. I really had a great time with reading this one. I loved all of the characters and everything. They were just so great. There were so many moments I was laughing out loud and everything. And I just think that if you enjoyed the overall like fantastical vibe of this one, the Fae element to it, and how twisted things were, you would definitely like both of these. I'm trying to go through these books as quickly as I can because I still have so many to talk about, so I'm sorry. I guess we'll just stay on the topic of Sarah J. Maas for a little bit here. So next up, if you enjoyed A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, then you should try out An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. Really anything by Margaret Rogerson, if you enjoy Sarah J. Maas, you would probably be a really big fan of. So this one is obviously a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but with Fae, and this book just deals with Fae and like that romantic element. You will definitely really enjoy this if you liked that in A Court of Thorns and Roses. You have a character who, she is a portrait artist, and she ends up doing something that is like a cardinal sin, which is she paints the Fae prince with emotion, and you're not supposed to show like Fae with human emotion. So she ends up having to go with him because obviously she's in trouble. So, you know, you can kind of see where things are going here, but it's so adorable, kind of enemies to lovers once again. But yeah, if you like this one, you would definitely like this one. And finally, if you enjoyed Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas, then you would like Angel Fall by Susan E. This is, once again, a story about angels, which is a prime topic in this book, but angels in a different way. This is very like, if you like Supernatural, then you would definitely like this. Actually, that would have been a good comparison to include in my movie/TV video, but oh well. So if you enjoy Supernatural, you would definitely like this. But it's after like there's been this apocalypse and angels have fallen to earth, and the interaction between like humans and angels and all of that. So I think that this is a pretty solid comparison in my personal opinion. We are getting to the tail end here, I promise. But next up, if you enjoyed The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, you should check out The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. Once again, big Christina Lauren fan, but these both deal with tech. This is more so women in STEM, and this is a woman who like ends up kind of in a STEM environment because she signs up for this matchmaking service, wasn't really expecting to, but it's actually matchmaking based on DNA. So she agrees to that. She's like, okay, like I can see how that would work. And it ends up that she actually is a match with the owner or creator of the dating service. She ends up matching with him at like 99%, which is absolutely unheard of. So they enter into an agreement for publicity purposes because she's really not sure about things, but they enter into a fake dating sort of thing. So we've got fake dating, we have technology, we have definitely more of a slow burn, but a really enjoyable story nonetheless. So definitely one that you should check out if you enjoyed this one. Actually, I lied because this is about a character in STEM. I couldn't remember, but then as I was talking, I thought that it was. So the single mother is a data and statistics wizard. So she is into like numbers and everything. So it is similar, educated woman into science science, STEM, all of that stuff. Now the penultimate recommendation, I promise that we just have one left. Yes, just one left. I was just making sure that there weren't any that I missed. But if you enjoyed One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus, then you should check out All Our Twisted Secrets by Diana Urban. These are both like high school thrillers, I guess. I guess they would be thrillers. And I read both of them and I enjoyed All Your Twisted Secrets just a little bit more. So this one is kind of Breakfast Club, but there's a murder. And then this one is all of these characters get invited to a scholarship dinner. They're all very different, but they all kind of are connected in some like tiny minuscule way. But they end up getting invited to the scholarship dinner. But then when they get there, they discover that there's a syringe where they have to, like, they're trapped in there and they either have to pick one of them to kill or a bomb is going to go off at the end if they don't choose someone. So obviously that's like a very high stakes situation, pretty wild, and it was super, super interesting to read. Like, it kind of jumps back in time between then and now. You see how the web is kind of like connecting and everything, and all of these different characters are coming from very different sides of things, so it's super interesting. But yeah, if you're looking for a high school thriller, definitely these two. And finally, if you enjoyed The Cruel Prince by Hailey Black, then you should check out Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. I'm not sure if this one is hyped up on TikTok. I think that she might be, which would make sense to me, because if she's not, like, I feel like she should be. This seems very much like something that TikTok would like. But I feel like both of these stories have like similar characters where they're very angsty. They're very, like, I would say that the main character in this book is a little bit more so than this one, but you have characters that are kind of more on the antagonistic side of things, which is really interesting. And you have these like slow burn, very interesting romances that are blooming as well. I had so much fun with reading this book. It really just got me, and I feel like if you enjoyed this one, this would be a good one to check out. Okay, so those are all of my TikTok. If you liked this book, then you might like this book recommendations for now, but definitely let me know if you would like to see any others. You can comment down below with any like TikTok hyped books that you would like another recommendation for, and I can definitely do that video in the future for you guys. But thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in another new one soon. Bye!